Good morning and welcome to the fifth quarter Northern Arizona Style. My name is Danny Neal. I'm your host for today, and this is a special show in the fact that this is our first time doing a part two. And today is Athletes and Opioids with our consultant, Jacque. Thank you for watching.
These are things that are happening to our youth: drowsiness, irritability. That's all these things that are happening with normal normal teens.
Yeah.
But if it's heightened, then it's cause to sit and then. But one of the big things that is, if your athlete is starting to become very secretive, then you have to understand that something is not quite right with what's happening. And again, that's just something to really just have a discussion with. And of course, during all that, they're having these, their self-esteem's going down. They're losing concentration. Maybe they're not as crisp as catching a ball. Maybe they're not as apt to understand the plays, or they're just not getting it. And then, of course, their personal hygiene starts to go down because their dependence on this opiate that they're taking, if they're becoming more addicted to that. And of course, those are the small changes. And then this here is, out of all this stuff, it's like, these are the big three C's to look for as coaches, as sports staff, as parents. Three big C's is the loss of control of their selves and their appearances, their cravings, or they have a preoccupation with the use or the discussion around, or you're starting to hear them say, "I need my pill." Those maybe pause, and then of course they're starting to use it despite they're starting to see the negative consequences on themselves. So again, those are just some really big things that are happening. But the big thing that we really want to take away is it's okay to talk about substances. It's okay to have that conversation because, again, they're getting it from all their social media, all these little memes that they send, all these little TikToks. You'll be surprised at how much substances alone are in these things. And so they are getting inundated with it already. So if you talk about it, it's okay. Because ultimately, they want to get back to where you as a coach, or you as a substance, or they want to get back to the game. They want to say, "Put me in, coach," which is true. They want to get back. So again, how do we discuss that? Really just like, okay, if you're hurt, let's talk about that. I want you to come back safely. And that's something, again, may or may not work with what you're trying to do, especially if they're the star athletes. But again, you really have to sit there and take a step back and say, as a parent, and sometimes parents want to just push my kids, be tough. That works to a point. If they're injured, we want to make sure they come back safely because ultimately they're just youth athletes. They're young bodies that are working to get through this fantastic physicality. But if they're in pain, we want to make sure that they come back and return effectively. So again, that really is cause to have a return to play and to evaluate their recovery responsibly. And of course, we want to make sure that if they have to take the opiate still while they're recovering, make sure everyone knows, the teachers, the school district, the coach, the parents, because again, that's one thing that we want to make sure that everyone knows, so they're all watching all those three C's along. It's not just one person. It's a whole gamut of folks looking. And then really just kind of saying, well, maybe we could talk, maybe now it's time to start putting you off the opiate into like Tylenol, which is, ultimately a better use. And just really talk about how that treatment is and discuss side effects with everybody involved with this student. Because again, what's happening is the student athlete wants to get back to you as a coach, as a program, and they want to get back in there. And sometimes while they're going through this injury, their mental health is low. They believe they're the cause to blame, or they blame the person that hurt them, which is a competitor. They want to get back despite being 100%. Maybe there's pressure from coaches, parents, other people. Maybe they feel that, oh, well, you just blew all this money on me for shoes and equipment and whatnot, and now I'm not giving back. So these are all things that the youth athlete is feeling while they're not performing or not being involved in the sport. And we, as support staff, we need to make sure that we're saying it's okay. And it's okay that we reassure them that we're worried about their safety and their health first and foremost. Right. And note that, like, hey, you know what? If it happens, get better safely and quickly. We're still here. You're still part of the team. Right. And it's, again, those are just things that can really be helpful in that aspect. And of course, we're talking about all the other things that are out there. So if there's a lot of prolonged use, again, that happens. So what can we do? If this, talk about weaning off the medication, again, like we said, maybe they're not at that. And we don't want them to get a dependency on the substance, opiate. And then, of course, there might be a history of substance use in their family. That means they have, per their DNA, they may or may not be able to get off that opiate, which is something that, again, there's a lot of science behind that. Whole nother presentation altogether. And then, of course, if they need help, and they have to take there's treatment options. There are treatment options here in northern Arizona for that. And of course, really, if there's usage at the school, really just kind of understand that it's imperative that the parents, caregivers, guardians know that when it's administered to them, that it has to be the person in charge has to administer it. And then, of course, keep it locked in secure location. Again, not in the locker, not in a bag, not on their backpack, not on their personal, because that's something that's a high level substance. And you can definitely, again, so you're not sharing. And then really just let the school nurse and appropriate staff understand that this is something that has to be administered for X amount of time. And of course, what we really don't want is the youth athletes to start selling, start sharing and distributing, and don't throw it in the trash because that's not where it goes. And don't flush it down the toilet or pour it down the sink because those are things that get into the environment. Now you just think of it as you're sharing your drug with everybody in town. And you don't want that. You don't want to be a part of that. So, but there are some things too. There's like just recently, and the DEA actually has a take back event, and they do it twice a year. They do it in October. They do it in April. So there's also drop boxes. This is a nice drop box. They have one at the sheriff's office. They have one at the police department. They even have them at hospitals and what have you. And if you don't know where one is, there's you can go to dumpthedrugsaz.org and find out, type in the information, type in your zip code, and it'll tell you where there's one around you. And of course, there's a lot drop boxes at Walgreens, CVS, those types of places that actually you could go into the pharmacy desk and they can actually have these nice things that you put your medicines in there. And again, it's because we want to make sure that they're not sharing, and then if it gets old. So again, we just want to understand as there's the sportsmanship, we want to make sure we embrace our students, understand it's only the season. If not, then they really just encourage them that, well, we understand, but we want you to be safe and healthy. And then, of course, really big thing, is just bring the fun back to it. Not, we want them to have fun. And just, again, that's really the big thing. I know you guys have a lot of comments and questions, but there's me if you want to get a hold of me, my phone number. And again, I'm excited to share with this, and I just thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I mean, that was very informative. I'm sitting here, I'm learning things as we go along here. And so, hey, we appreciate it. We know you do good work here. And so I personally want to thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. And I echo those comments. I mean, it's very important. And, we're seeing more and more, whether it's with athletes or whether it's just with high school youth, period, the use of, illegal drugs, or even some of the stuff that now is becoming legal, like a lot of the vapes and everything. And it is an epidemic, and just to have the information and to be able to highlight some of the 3 C's and stuff to look for. I think that's good. I think that's important. So definitely appreciate that information.
Excellent. Yeah, it is a lot sometimes because you're trying to get them to understand this play and the moving parts and all the variations. But sometimes it's just like you got to be, again, I think for as coaches and what have you, you're seeing the kiddos more so than the parents and the caregivers. Mm-hmm. And I think I did a small little tidbit. You probably have more face time with the kiddos than the parents.
Very possible, especially high school.
Possible. And the thing
exactly.
is, the kids that are getting these injuries are some of the better, high talented athletes, and they have that ego where they're invincible and, oh yeah, I can take this pill and I'm okay, and all that. So just the competitiveness of sports, just that attitude you want them to have, sometimes can backfire on them.
Exactly. And again, that's really just coming down to communication. And I would say you've got to be open with your athlete and understand, again, are you grooming the next blah, blah, blah? Maybe. But again, like I said, it's just really just coming down to making sure your athlete is healthy and fit and ready to come back and not push them. Because again, they might not know. And there might be and again, you got as a caregiver, you got to make sure that they're okay to come back.
Right. And then I think that's where, as coaches, we have to understand that whether it's the best athlete or the not the best athlete on the team, like you say, is this your high, you're grooming for the top, it really shouldn't matter because all of them should be the same. And you got to look out for all of them.
Coach.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Were you about to say worst athlete?
I wouldn't do that, man. I'm always positive. I wouldn't say that, man.
I'm glad you caught yourself.
Yeah. See, but yeah, I'm glad I did too, man. It's early morning. But anyway, Jacque, we really appreciate this. And we want to talk about all things sports, and this is something that's very important. We just had our Flagstaff Sports Foundation Awards a few months ago, and out of the 150 people there was 2 families there that had been, had this awful thing happen. So it's out there and it's real, and we got to get people to understand that it's real. So
absolutely,
that's right. So we appreciate you anytime you got anything like this that you can bring forward, because this is as much as important as it is shooting a basketball, dribbling a basketball, or running a football, or whatever the case is. This has got to go up there high on that priority list.
Absolutely. And especially now that it's the start of basketball season, we're going to see a lot more injuries, and hopefully, knock on wood, that it's not going to be anything that will necessitate a painkiller. But there is always that, that outlier. So again, just be aware. And I know the AIA actually does have each student athlete that registers has to go through the opiate training, and that's good. It's a good start, but they should have the parents do it as well.
And just to put that out there, because of my situation, we're talking about the youth today, but the number one abusers of opioids right now are senior citizens, correct?
That is correct. Because again, it comes back to that whole use as needed. Mm-hmm. But how do you know what you need if you're not having that conversation?
And I think just back to senior citizens require a little bit more pain medicine than younger people do, seriously speaking. Coach, stop all the little grinning you're doing over there. It's the truth, senior citizens require a little bit more and because of a little bit more pain, tolerance, and all that. So just wanted to put that out there that we're talking about youth today, but we all need to worry about that.
Absolutely.
Wait, we thank you. We appreciate you, Jacque. You friend to us all out here. And so, Coach.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, Coach.
So, look, I didn't necessarily have a golden question or anything like that, you know what I mean? But I think, again, the information is timely and important. And I guess just one thing in terms of closing it off, one thing I find interesting is once the pain is done, what's the draw for them to continue using the opioid?
Right. And like I said, we had stated that they can get addicted within a year, within a really small time. So like within a week. The draw is for them to get off it. So again, that's where you're talking, making sure they don't become dependent on it. So again, it's like, how are you administering? I know we'll go back to Terry. Terry stated that the parent had to give it to them once every 12 hours and then break it in half and give them half a pill. And then but again, it's because it's so powerful and it's hitting a young body. And again, it's just kind of like the first time you have something exciting and you feel it. We want to make sure that they're not becoming that way. Again, there's a lot of I guess understanding that you want to make sure that kiddo is not becoming dependent on it. It really is a fine line, and it's a small little window that you want to watch, and it really is incumbent on the person that is making sure that they're taking it appropriately. And again, it's a conversation. It really is a communication. It comes down to, and if I had to say, that'd probably be the golden nugget, is to have an open conversation around how they're going to get back to being 100%. And if it has an opiate, knowing that the opiate is not going to be a continued part of their recovery, and to really just limit it as much as possible. And of course, that would be it right there.
Well, there it is. See there? Golden nugget already built in. That's what we like.
But he thought he was going to get away with the da-da-da-da-da-da. So thank you very much, Jacque, for that golden
Absolutely.
nugget. And we appreciate that. So once again, even though this is pre-recorded, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please still shoot it to us. Hit like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We appreciate you. This was a great show today. I got to get out of here. I'm supposed to be at work about 30 minutes ago. And my boss is sitting there looking at me, seeing I'm late. So hope you don't, Coach, I'm still good, right?
I'm gonna talk to your immediate supervisor. So you just work your way on over this way and get on over to work. And look here, I don't know what everybody got to do, but this man got to go to work. I do know that. And so we ain't gonna keep y'all no longer. Everybody have a great day, great weekend. I know one thing though, you ain't got to go home.
Look, thank you, Jacque. We gotta leave here.